Hi, miners and scouts, the twins. How do we, as scouts, best deal with them without overclocks? This guide is for new scouts who maybe don't have overclocks, or maybe you do have overclocks, but it's always good to know how to choose your loadouts so you can build upon them once you do have those overclocks. So, the twins, what do we know about them? Well, we know they have a 1x weak spot under their armor. We also know they have a 0.5x weak spot on their mouth, their lower jaw to be exact. We also know they take 2.5x more damage when frozen. We know the Arbalest likes to bombard you from range, and the Lacerator likes to get up close and personal. We also know that to get to the cocoons in an elimination mission, to actually get to the cocoons, we have to be fighting swarms or at least spawn waves along the way. And we also know that when one twin takes more damage than the other, they will go into a healing phase. So what do we do with this information? If we take a look at this, we know that armor breaking on our weapons will come in handy, and we know we want to go with all out DPS over weak point damage, because they don't really have any juicy weak spots. They have that 1x1 on their back, which is protected by their armor, their shell. So armor breaking is what we need on our weapons. They do take 2.5 times more damage when frozen, so we know that crowd grenades may be a good option to take, maybe, and we'll get to that when we get to the sandbox. We know because one is ranged and one likes to get up close, that speed and mobility will be important, and not only that, we'll need a weapon that can deal with a ranged attacker and a close attacker, and of course we need to be able to defend ourselves in between dread fights and getting to the cocoons in the caves in the first place against swarms. So let's head into sandbox with the M1. I'm going to take armor breaking, of course, using all this information we've got here, and because I want to be fast and mobile, I'm not going to concentrate on focus shots. I'm going to go with a hip fire build, but I'm going to put armor breaking on instead of hip fire stability, because I don't mind losing, that little bit of stability for the armor breaking. And with it, I'm going to take the boomstick, which is going to have the fire mod on it. Now, dreads have fire resistance, but again, to get to the dreads, we're going to have to deal with spawns and swarms, and fire is really good for them, but the boomstick is also a really good close-up weapon with double trigger. So we know they only take half damage in their mouth, so we want to be aiming for that back. We need to crack that shell and get to the 1x weak spot at the back. But how do we do that when they constantly spin around? Well, you bait the Lacerator into its flame attack. By hovering in front of the Lacerator, you'll bait it into one of its attacks, either its stomping attack or its flamethrower attack, and that's when you can get behind it to crack that shell with the armor breaking. Now, the idea with the twins is to try and damage them equally. And that's why I said cryo may be worth it. If you saw there, 2 cryo grenades and a couple of shots with the boomstick took out a huge chunk of their health, which is usually a great thing and works great for the other dreads. But in this case, it just forces them immediately into a healing phase. Now, if you don't mind that and just want to focus on one of them and take out a huge chunk of health at a time and just keep forcing them into healing phases, then it's fine. But ideally, you want to be trying to damage them equally, and with that 2.5 times more damage while frozen, it's difficult to do that. I got hit here, which was very silly of me. You should always be keeping an eye on both of them. And with the Arbalast, although range is its strength, it's also its biggest weakness, because the closer you are to it, the easier it is for him to hit you, and the further away you are, the easier it is to dodge his projectiles or grapple. I love the Hipfire M1 because it is so versatile. It's great at long range, it's great at short range. So not only did it do well with the twins, but you could have easily have defended yourself against a swarm with that too. Another advantage of the M1 over the others is with the M1 you can have both weak point damage and armor breaking at the same time. And just in case you couldn't, you had the boomstick there with blow through and the fire mod for swarm clear. But as you saw, once the armor was broken, using double trigger is good to use in a pinch when you're close up against the twins too. Alright, next let's head down with the GK2 and IFG and the Bolt Shark. The 30% damage boost of IFGs is always worth it in dread missions, but it's a little trickier with the twins because you have one that prefers ceilings and high walls. It's actually easier here because we've got this nice small room. But in a cave on a high wall or a ceiling, it'd be a little trickier to use. And you've got another one who doesn't like to stand still for too long except when it's doing its flamethrower or stomp attack, and likes to burrow. And it's easy to miss IFGs and waste them. One tactic is just to stand inside the IFG yourself, which will bait the lacerator into appearing there. But again, this isn't always possible because you've got the Arbalast bombarding you, so you may need to grapple away and then you'll miss your chance with the IFG. Alright, let's call down the twins and see if we can take them out with the GK2 and Bolt Shark. On the GK2 I've gone armor breaking over weak spot damage for reasons stated earlier in the video. We need to get under that shell on their back, and I've gone with fire rate over any accuracy or stability mods. I favour fire rate when it comes to dreads, especially without overclocks, because we want to be spraying as many bullets as we can into them as fast as we can. This is actually a great setup because we have the Bolt Shark there to take shots at the Arbalast, and we have the GK2 up close because we lack those accuracy mods. We want to be using a GK against the lacerator up close while hitting the Arbalast from long range with the arrows. If you watched my Can Scout Swarm Clear without overclocks video, you'll know that one of my top tips is keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. Don't stand in the same spot too long. Keep grappling, keep dashing. Unfortunately, I didn't take my own advice here and I got hit again like a dummy. The lacerator's stomp attack is devastating, but it's actually easy to dodge, so it's a bit silly that I didn't. As soon as it goes into its stomp attack, just grapple away and don't get hit in the face like I did here. It's a little tricky deciding which grenade to take on elimination. IFG is great against OG and Hive Guard for that 30% damage boost. Same with Cryo, 2.5 times more damage against the twins and 3 times more damage against OG and Hive Guard, which is great if you're playing solo and can sort of control it, especially when it comes to the twins. If you're playing in a team, remember that 30% damage boost is for your entire team and not just for you. So whether you go IFG or Cryo, you may find yourself and your team just constantly forcing them into the healing phase. So me, personally, I'm probably going to get lynched for this, but I actually don't take either on eliminations anymore, unless I'm playing solo. If I'm playing in a team, I'll just take boomerangs or pheromones to deal with swarms and swarmers and Mac Terrors. Now you'll notice I had taser bolts, my buckshot there, but never used them. The twins are resistant to electrocution, and they don't really do anything against the twins, but when you're taking the bolt shock, it's still always good to take taser bolts on elimination, because remember, it's not only the twins you're going to face. If it's a 2 dread elimination, you could be facing OG or Hive Guard as well. If it's a 3 dread elimination, you could get all 3 or 2 of them or 1 of them twice. And taser bolts pretty much incapacitate OG and Hive Guard. So always think about the best loadout for whatever you have the most trouble with. If you have the most trouble with the twins, pick the best loadout for the twins, but also keep a little backup for everything else. Get what I mean? Okay, so that's the GK2. Good. Not as good as the M1, in my opinion. That's probably just the way I was using it. I'm not a native GK user. So how about my favourite weapon? The Drak. I love the Drak so much. It's such a versatile weapon and has such misleading damage stats. People look at the damage and think, oh, the Drak has really low damage. But the thing with the Drak is its fire rate. It fires like a monster. So with constant firing with the Drak, you're actually putting out so much DPS. And people complain about it's, even though it fires fast, its projectiles are slow. Its plasma projectiles are slower than the others. But I actually find that a good thing. It's this that makes the Drak the perfect spray and pray weapon. It makes it great for sweeping left and right to wipe out an entire swarm coming at you. But its fire rate also makes it great for single target. Now the thing about the Drak is it's already 100% armor breaking by default. I'm using the armor breaking mod on it here as well though, and it actually has more armor breaking than the M1 with the armor breaking mod on the M1. The Drak now has 300% armor breaking. The twins will always go into one healing phase. They'll always have that first healing phase no matter what. So it doesn't matter about damaging them equally at first until after their first healing. After that you do want to damage them equally. However, I wasn't really doing that here. I'm in my element with the Drak. I love the Drak, so here I was just having fun and dancing around. I just find it a really fast and mobile hit and run gun. But as much as I love the Drak, I have to admit it does fall short, way short of the M1 here, and perhaps even the GK2. I find the Drak a great weapon for new players, especially new scouts, because it's a lot more forgiving than the other two. The thing with the M1 and the GK is if you miss with the M1, you may pay for that mistake, and if you haven't got the burst firing and ammo management down with the GK, again you may find yourself getting punished by the caves for it. But the Drak is a lot more forgiving because of its fast recovery, huge magazine, fast fire rate, and its projectiles being plasma. It's a gun that doesn't really punish you for not having the greatest aim, and it lets you stay mobile, it lets you stay moving fast. Anyway, that's how to deal with the twins, and you have several weapons there to choose from. I'm going to put the build up here. You're free to experiment with them, and you'll no longer have any problems with dealing with the twins. What's Panda's recommendation? I'd say if you have good aim, take the M1, and if you don't have good aim, take the Drac. Now the GK is a good weapon, a good gun. I'm not a native GK user, but I do take it sometimes. I do like it as a weapon, but in this situation you can either take armor breaking or weak point damage. So I don't see any point in taking it when you have the M1 with both armor breaking and weak point damage at the same time, and you have the Drac with its monster fire rate and 300% armor breaking. Alright my babies, remember, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. You've got to grapple there for a reason. Try to damage them equally. If that's not possible, then by all means just focus on one of them, probably the Lacerator, but keep an eye on the Arbalast, and more importantly, keep your distance so his attacks are easier to dodge. Between Bolt Shot and Boomstick, that's complete preference, up to you. You want something for Swarm Clear, ideally, so I'd say take the Boomstick with Blow Through and the Fire Mod, just to keep for self-defense. Alright, I am pooped. Zippity